Let's go. We are back. Lightforge podcast, Grinning go to murder at Castle Nathria Arena card review stream podcast VOD on YouTube. This is Oddwick.
This is Merps. Shaman. Okay, the class everybody loves. All right, remember, Wildpaw Cavern is out. Snowfall Guardian is out. So they get no annoying cards, right? Let's see.
Let's see. So the top card they have in common is a Shadow Waltz. Wait, what? No. The top card they have, I was like, what? No, that's not right. Is Criminal Lineup, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now if you're watching the video. It is an 8 mana spell. Choose a friendly minion, summon 3 copies of it. Overload 2.
Yeah. Okay, so what kind of stat line do you need for this to be like really good value? Like starting from a 4/4? Something like that?
I don't think a 4/4 is enough. Probably you need more than a 4/4. Probably need like a 5/5 because it's like effectively 10 mana, right? You get to put it out on turn 8, but
so this is one of those.
Yeti.
Yeah, I think you need like a Yeti, like that. But it's not that hard. Yeah. I don't think it's like that hard.
This is a B plus, by the way. This is a B plus, so almost an A. Not quite. We're not quite ready to call it a premium, but it's a good card.
It's not that hard to get something to stick that is of a decent size. It's really not that hard. And I think some people will always think it's like, oh, just clear the paladin, just clear the Shaman. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, right? Like, I would love to always clear their board, but that just doesn't happen. So it's pretty good. Like, you won't always have removal, and then once something sticks, they're just gonna have a ton of those things. And then, of course, if your response is just have a flame strike, well, yeah, I don't know. Like you won't always have the flame strike. You won't always have like the puzzle box. So this will win a lot of games.
Yep. It's an 8 mana card. It's doing what 8 mana cards should do. Well, it's an 8 mana plus 2 overload card, but it's putting a lot of stuff onto the board. It does have a condition. You will not fulfill this condition like half the time. But the other half of the time, it's going to be very good. And even when you don't fulfill the condition, it's not like Rep said, like, you're not going to clear the Shaman all the time. You oftentimes don't want to clear the Shaman all the time. Like, Shaman's not Paladin. People aren't out there with a vendetta to clear the Shaman all the time, because Shaman doesn't really buff their minions, like, a whole ton. So, you're going to get a lot of people also who are just, like, going to go face, because they want that face damage, and then you have a minion. Or, like, your minion has a death rattle, right? So they don't want to, like, clear that minion. And this is summoning copies of it. So if you get a death rattle minion, it'll summon it'll get all the death rattles as well.
Yep.
Alright. That is Criminal Lineup. A common card, B+. They have 2 other common cards. The next one is Crud Caretaker, 4 mana, 1/1, battle cry, summon a 3/5 elemental with taunt. As Dingo is somewhere in the corner crying. This is only a C+. That's just how bad Tazdingo is now. They add an extra 1/1 onto this guy for a curve card, essentially, and it's still only a C+. C+ isn't bad. It's a little worse than the average card in your deck, but it's basically an average card in your deck.
So remember, Yeti is bottom of C, right?
Yeah,
Yeti is bottom of C
/D+.
This is
that line.
Top of C, but Tazdingo is not good. Like, it just isn't.
Yeah, Tazdingo is below a Yeti these days, obviously.
Yep. So look, C+ is around what the close to what the average card in your deck is going to be, right? So this is close to the quality of the average card in your deck, and I think most people would agree with that. It's like, okay, this is sort of like what my deck is going to be composed of. Like, cards, like half the cards would be better and half the cards would be worse than this card. Fair.
All right. Carving Chisel. Carving Chisel is a weapon. It is a 2 mana 1/3 weapon. After your hero attacks, summon a random basic totem. So you're summoning 3 random basic totems over the course of this weapon, but it is 2 mana for a 1/3 weapon, which is like a lot of mana for a 1/3 weapon. It's a C.
This card, okay, I had to talk you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I just like this more than you do. I think I like what it does. I think I like how annoying it is. So for me, I think I tried to talk you up like even more, but I'm okay with where it is. I just like these ping cards for classes that don't really ping. I think the totems are really annoying. I think it'll just be a lot of annoyance for a decent amount. So you can mark this one as a card that I like. I mean, I'm not saying it's amazing, but I like this card.
It's annoying, but that's it. It's bad tempo.
Yeah.
Like, if you play it on curve, it like doesn't quite fulfill its tempo role. Like, it's okay. It's like playing like a 2/2 on curve. You're like not really happy about it, but it's definitely much better than nothing. And it gets its tempo over the course of many turns, so you're gonna have to make. I mean, the purpose is to be annoying, make the board weird, right? But overall, it doesn't quite add up. You're gonna have to try to do something with it to really get value out of it, and then you're into like a synergy combo zone. Totems are not good. That's really what it comes down to. Basic totems are just not cutting it in the arena, and so stuff that creates more of these, they don't really do it. And there's no synergies with totems specifically. You're just getting synergies with having like more stuff on the board, right? Like someone called it infused food. Yeah, it's 2 mana. It gives you 3 things. That's good infused food. But you don't even get to control, right? Your totems, except for 1, can't even attack. So if your opponent doesn't remove it, they don't remove it. Like, it's an annoying card. But overall, it's not a good card.
Fair.
All right, Carving Chisel. Let's go on to the rare cards. Here is where we're going to find the true gem of Shaman. We kept talking when we were talking about Hunters that is another S tier card. There's an S tier card and an S plus tier card in Hunter, and there was one more S tier card that's not a legendary in this. Oh no, I'm wrong. It's getting late. It's an A tier card. The S tier card, I'll just spoil it, is in Warlock, the next class. The A tier card we're talking about here is a rare A tier card. It is Convincing Disguise, and it is a 1 mana spell. Transform a friendly minion into one that costs 2 more. Infuse 4. Transform all friendly minions instead.
Pretty good, man. Like, I mean, we just looked at the 4-drop, right? The 1/1 4-drop that summons a Tazdingo. You're gonna get decent targets. I think sometimes the transform all minions is gonna be a little awkward, actually. But you know, you can manipulate it. It's pretty freaking cheap. 2 more is a lot. Like, if it's just 1 more, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know, like
if
exactly
it's just
how
one
much
more,
I'm gonna get.
you don't want to do it on anything that's not damage or has a battle cry.
Or has a battle cry. But 2 more, you're kind of just happy to do on stuff. Because even if it is a bad roll, you should at least get what the original would have given you, right? Like a bad 6-drop is kind of like a 4-drop. That's sort of how it goes. So yeah, it's just really good. Like, it's just a great way to push tempo, to get value out of these battle cries that you will have. And we've seen how powerful these evolve shenanigans can be, in which you're just like, oh yeah, I have everything under control, and you know, I don't have to clear the shaman every single turn. And then they do some evolve shenanigan, and then you lost because that's way too much tempo. Like, they got favorable trades and then they evolved, and then that is way too big of a swing. So it's just a really nice card.
Yep. And if you're wondering why it's not higher than a A, I know some people think this card is crazy good. Remember, you're a good player. Random is bad. Random tempo is like the worst. Random initiative tempo is the absolute worst, but this is just random like actual tempo on the board. So it's getting an RNG penalty, as all the RNG cards do from our rating systems. And this one has a lot of randomness. A lot of randomness.
All right.
Next up is another evolved card, transform card. It's a Muck Pool, the location for the Shaman. It is a 1 mana location. It's the cheapest location we've seen so far. It has 3 charges, and it transforms a friendly minion into one that costs 1 mana more. So,
what do we get this?
This one is a B. It is a B tier card. You want to combo it. You really do want to combo it. So it is essentially a combo card. It will also do well against things that are significantly damaged. But again, it's a lot of RNG. So you get a good roll, it could be an S tier card. You get a bad roll, it'll lose you the game.
Yep. I think that's fair. You do have to wait on it. This is also one in which you can only transform one at a time. It is just one more. Remember, locations have a 1-turn cooldown, so like it's cheap, which is really nice. But you know, the downsides are real here. So you can get kind of caught looking at the fact that it's 1 mana, which is once again very nice, but yeah, it doesn't do exactly enough. So that's why it is not higher.
Like cost 1 more and cost 2 more is such a big difference.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for. Oh no, we have one more rare card. One more rare card. It's almost not a card. This is a D tier card. Don't draft it. Don't get sucked in. It's Party Favor Totem. The 3 mana 0/3. At the end of your turn, summon a random basic totem. Infuse 2. Summon 2 instead. You're going to be able to infuse 2. It's super easy to infuse 2, especially for a bad card that you don't want to play, right? So it's just going to be stuck in your hand for a while anyway. So you play this, you get 2 random basic totems. There's a decent chance one of them is a taunt, which will protect this, and then generates more totems. But again, you are just creating more annoying things. This is almost a card that reads, heal your face for like 15 or something over the course of the next few turns. So it's a D tier card.
Don't you also just board lock yourself almost immediately?
Yes. So you can't play stuff, because you also can't attack with your totems except one of them.
Yeah, the board lock situation is very real. So that sucks. This card is like, it's hilarious though. I mean, look at the art for it. It's hilarious. I think people draft it for the memes, but yeah, man, it is bad.
Yeah. Okay. So the board locking is not as much of a thing as it was before, by the way. And then people are like, oh, just let him board lock it. Because now one of your totems buffs other stuff, so that it makes another one of your totems be able to suicide. And then, so now basically 2 of your totems are able to quote unquote attack, or most likely able to attack. Like, and you're board locking yourself at 7. So like some of those totems are going to be these 2 totems. So you're not actually like board locking yourself, but you are limiting your options. And you do have to trade ineffectively those totems in order to clear the space.
It is a lot of heal, right, for you.
Yes, it's a lot of heal.
Yes,
because they have to clear it. Otherwise, it's way too annoying.
Okay, next.
All right, next we're on to epic cards. Epic card number 1, Primordial Wave, 3 mana nature spell. Transform enemy minions into one that costs 1 less, and friendly minions into one that costs 1 more. This is a B tier card. It is a devolve with a mass evolve, all in one card. And the actual power of it is insanely way bigger than a B tier card. But the ridiculous awkwardness of it drags it down. When you're devolving, you don't want to evolve, because you know what evolving does? it replaces your minion and it loses its initiative. So if you're ever trying to devolve something that has a taunt, which is like half the time you're trying to devolve something at least, you got to get through the taunt first anyway, or else you lose your initiative on your things that attack. And if you're just trying to buff your board, then you're not getting a devolve. And if your opponent just like has a random thing on their board that is like something with a battle cry or whatever, devolve actually buffs it. Like, it's so awkward to play.
How many times, when you have a devolve in your hand, are you using the devolve to push for lethal, right? Because they have a taunt, they have a giant taunt, and then you're like, okay, as long as I devolve and they don't have a taunt, I win the game, right? Or I get so close to winning the game that, like, in the next turn, I win the game unless they do something crazy. This doesn't allow you to do that, right? Because you can't. You're also like turning your stuff into random stuff. So yeah, like the effect in total is nice. Like what you're getting for 3 mana on both sides of the board are pretty nice, but you have these extra considerations. And this pretty important scenario that we laid out, which is really what you're using Devolve for a lot of the times, you can't do.
That's why it's only a B tier card, but it does do a lot of stuff. Like what you're actually using Primordial Wave for is, I mean, you could actually use it for a devolve if you have nothing or nothing important on your side of the board. First of all, 2, you could use it just as an evolve if your opponent has nothing like terrible on their side of the board. It's a little inefficient both ways compared to their base cards, but whatever. It's 1 extra mana in the late game, right? Who cares? So those are possible uses that make it flexible, but also a really serious consideration possible use is just 3 mana for a lot of stats. It's super random, but just do what you do, and then when you're done with your turn, play the Primordial Wave, and then see what happens. You're going to get a net plus stats that is, on average, quite good. Assuming you have some kind of a board and your opponent has some kind of a board that is not injured. Like, it's just too much randomness. But the actual effect is huge, right?
Yep. Okay.
All right. Other epic card is Gigantotem. The 10 mana 8/8 totem. And it costs 1 less for each totem you summon this game.
Oh, the party favor.
Oh my god. So yes, this is the synergy that brings all the totems together. But it's an epic card. You cannot expect to draft this card. So that's why the other totems don't really come together. And you do not want to draft the other totems cards for the most part, which means you're not going to have that many totems to reduce this cost. Hero powers for Shaman is terrible these days. It's the totem that synergizes with totems. Like, it's not good. It is, what do we end up giving it? We ended up giving it a D+. It's actually higher than I thought, but I guess it ends up being a late game, like low mana 8/8.
Fine. Yeah. Look, a very late game, like 7 mana 8/8. Huh? That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Okay.
Alright, let's talk legendaries. The good legendary is Stonewright. 4 mana 5/4 battle cry for the rest of your game. Your totems have +2 attack. 4 mana 5/4. That is a on-curve minion that you can play, not lose any tempo. And then for the rest of the game, your totems have +2 attack. The A tier card is very good.
That's good. It's very good, yeah.
It's not an S tier card because your totems sucked before, so this just kind of makes them good. Doesn't make them absurdly good or anything. So your hero power is 2 mana, you get a 2/2 totem that has an ability, like that's good, but you're not gaining tempo, you're just gaining card advantage.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And the other legendary is Baroness Vashti. And that is a 4 mana 3/6. Again, on curve. It's a Naga. And the ability is, if this would transform into a minion, summon that minion instead. This is a B tier card. Because you do have a good amount of good evolve-ish kind of cards. in the set to support it. And if it does trigger on an evolve-ish whatever thing, it's very good because you get like a free
Very
5
good.
drop, a free
Yeah.
6 drop or whatever. So the synergies are there. You're gonna have the synergies in your deck. It becomes very good when you do it.
Yep.
And if you're wondering why, like I see a lot of people trying to make a case for Crud Caretaker, which we rated a C plus, and being like, but it's so good with like evolve and stuff. It's good with evolve. That's the Senja with the 1/1, right? And the 1/1's 4 mana. So it's good with evolve. It's not good with mass evolve. Because the mass evolve is going to take your 3/5, which is kind of an on curve, and then try to evolve that, which subjects it to RNG. So overall, it's still good to evolve, like to mass evolve, but not as good as you think. It's only that one single target evolve card that you get here that makes it like very good. And it's unlikely that your 3/5 dies before your 1/1.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, that's Shaman. It's messy. Like, if mages are annoying with the skeletons, they're at least predictably annoying. Shamans are very messy in their annoyingness. Very, very messy, especially with this set. It's just a lot of stuff. A lot of our ratings here are on the low side because of the RNG. Like, this is just not what you want as a good player. And it's a kind of a normal Shaman problem to have, right? Like, where the RNG is just too much for good players to consistently get the high win rates with the Shaman. When they're not like OP. Like, every now and then Shaman gets a card like Caverns, and you're like, well, no RNG there. Just win the game. But for the most part, these are the kinds of cards that Shaman gets, and they kind of have a ceiling to them as a good player.
All right. I don't have anything more to add.
Cool. That's it. We're going to move on then. Do you want to give a shout out?
No.
All right. Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Iggy, your beloved pet that you promised you'd shout out to, that you did not shout out to. I'm gonna give a shout out to Ginzy and Willow, your
And Willow,
chins
yes.
that have been sadly neglected on the stream, and also to my rabbit Evie, who I have seen for the first time after 3 weeks, and spent a lot of quality time doing work on my laptop this morning with in the bunny's like little pen. So yeah, shout out to our pets.
All right. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.